Jesus did. Never come here and tell me you found your missing ring. It was Adam's ring, not your own. Shut up your mouth and listen to me. Or else you will come again and tell me that you found another missing ring. But what God has joined together, I say no man should tear apart. But remember that Jesus loves you more than you love that sister soul. But remember that Jesus loves you more than you love that sister soul.
Good evening, everybody. I am trying as much as possible to see that we have some people in the house before we begin discussing. And I want to hope that those of you who are connected, you have been able to do the personality test and you have your 4 letters ready, which represent your primary personality. Please get that ready, because at some point in this presentation we are going to discuss those 4 letters which you came out with from the personality test. Some people are having difficulty getting to me on Zoom. Please just get to me on Facebook. Go to my personal account on Facebook and follow the program there. Remember that Jesus loves you more than you love that sister soul. Tell your lady home, take good care of her. But remember that Jesus loves you more than you love that sister soul. Carry your lady home, take good care of her. But remember that Jesus loves you more that sister soul. Carry your lady home, take good care of her. Remember that Jesus loves you, love that sister soul. Take good care of her. But remember that Jesus loves you more that sister soul.
Oh, Marco's Pepperoni Magnifico. Classic and old world pepperoni on one pizza, and a large is just... The phrase slice of heaven comes to mind. Marco's. Pizza lovers, get it.
Thank you for connecting on Facebook. I can see some people on Facebook already. Thank you so much for connecting. I am waiting a little bit on Zoom to be able to get some more people join us before we begin the program. Now, we are discussing today discover your personality type, and we are beginning a series on self-awareness for singles. And of course, even if you're not still single, I think that this presentation will still be helpful to you. So whether single or not, it's beautiful that you stay connected so that we together can have this great time together. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for staying connected. And please, if you're connected on Facebook, can you do me a favor to share the link, share to your friends. We are discussing Discover Your Personality Type today on a series self-awareness, which I think is very important for anyone who is planning to get into any serious relationship, to be able, first of all, to get this self-awareness, know their specific traits, those specific tendencies and characteristics and motivations and preferences they have as they plan to get into relationship. So it's going to be a good series that we're beginning today, and I hope that you who begin it with me today, you will hang on and follow the series through to get the full understanding. In case at any point you miss out on anything, I'll be making the recordings available on Singles and Married, Hope Singles and Married Academy, and also on my personal Facebook profile, and that's Kweni Nupuku, and different Facebook platforms that I do have. I also make the video, the recorded video, available on Living the Full Life on YouTube, where you can be able to follow up on this program. So right now, and without much ado, we want to begin this wonderful session today. And with your permission, I would want to stop the music and begin the presentation of what we have to do today. Thank you. And right away, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen, just one moment. Right now, I'm sharing my screen with you, and I hope that you are able to see my screen on Zoom. Of course, those on Facebook, unfortunately, you will not be able to see my screen, but I hope that you will stick in with us as we have this discussion today. Yes, I said it earlier, we are beginning a discussion today on self-awareness. We are beginning a discussion on self-awareness, and it's a series we are beginning today to discuss very important things which we need to consider as singles and even as individuals. Even if we are not singles, if we have to have a fruitful relationship and a blissful one at that. And the first thing I want to say is we will title this program this evening, Discover Your Personality Type Part 1. Of course, we're going to maybe have Part 2, Part 3. So the first thing we must understand is what is personality. Because if we do not understand what personality is, it will be difficult for us to discuss personality type. And even before we discuss personality type, it's important for us to know what is personality and why it is important for us to know our personality type. And right away on my screen here on Zoom, I say personality refers to the unique set of enduring patterns. So it talks about patterns and traits which are unique. And these unique traits and patterns characterize an individual's thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and interpersonal tendencies. So this has to do with a distinctive way in which we perceive, we interact with the world around us, and these shape our responses to the various situations we encounter and even influence our preferences, our motivations, and values. And this is huge because each individual has a set of traits, a set of, patterns, or a set of specific characteristics that determine how this individual thinks, how the individual feels, how the individual behaves, and how this individual interacts with other people around and with the environment. It influences their preferences, what they choose, what they like, what they don't like, what they are motivated to do, and their specific set of value systems. It is very, very unique. And this personality type or personality or an individual's personality is a function of many factors. First, it is shaped by our genetic makeup. It is also shaped by the environment in which we live, how we grew up, the kind of experiences we had, the kind of childhood experiences, what we're exposed to, our first notion of good or bad emotions. It's also influenced by personal development. So you have what you have called your primary personality type, which is shaped by genetic, and of course you have the secondary personality type, that will be influenced or shaped by the environment in which you grow, the kind of people with whom you interact, the kind of even the neighborhood in which you grew, the different life experiences which you had when you were growing up, and even your conscious personal development. Because there are people who intentionally develop themselves. They develop a lot of emotional intelligence. They develop a lot of skills and adaptations which help them to be able to cope with life changing and challenging circumstances. And it's important to understand that our personalities are not static. They are actually dynamic. They grow, they change, they can be modified. So an individual could choose to develop their personality. An individual could equally choose to, improve on their personality, and life experiences, things that we go through in life can actually influence how we behave or what kind of personality we develop. So this is what we are talking about. So personality, there are a set of traits, set of patterns, things that could be genetic or could be influenced by environment or our life experiences. They could equally be influenced by our intentional personal development. And this determines how we feel, how we think, what value systems we have, our notion of right and wrong, our notion of fair or unfair, our notion of peaceful, and it has to also influence a lot about our individual characteristics, our communication styles, how we relate to challenges, how we relate to conflicts. It influences a lot about us, and this contribute to the richness and the complexity of human behavior and identity. And this is what makes me different from you. And this is what makes you different from the next person beside you, or from your brother, or from your sister, or from your friend. And the fact that we are different doesn't necessarily make somebody good or bad, but just trying to understand that because of different personality, we will react differently to different situations, or differently to the same situations. We will have different emotions. We will manage anger differently. We will manage conflict differently. We will also manage pressure differently. We are also going to manage relationships differently. Our value systems will be so much impacted by our personality. That's something that's good for us to underline. The next thing we want to answer is, why is it important to understand your personality type as a single or as a human being? You might not be single, and some people who are even well advanced in age don't even have a mastery of their personality. They don't know their personality type, and so they find it difficult to, be able to manage situations when those situations arise, because they don't have a mastery of their personality, and they don't even know how to choose the right reactions, how to choose the right words, how to choose the right communication styles. And even most especially for singles, once you don't know your personality type, it is difficult for you to be able to make the right choice when it comes to marriage and relationship. All right. So I was asking the question, why is it important? Why is it important for us to know our personality type? Now, the first thing is that it enhances self-awareness. When you know your personality type, it gives you the information about your strength, your weaknesses, your values, your priorities. What are those areas in which you are quite strong? And every individual, every human being, we have our areas of strength. Even that person you think is a bad person has a good side. And that person you think is a good person has a bad side. So every one of us has those strengths and weaknesses. We have values. When we talk about good or bad, it all depends on how you grew, what system you adopted, or what system you learned when you were growing up. So, and when we talk about priorities, some people think that buying a car is what they need. Others think that what they would want to have is have a house. Now, is any of them wrong? No. It's a matter of priorities. And our individual priorities are influenced by our personality. And if we are not aware of our personality, we will not be able to be fully aware or be able to identify the strengths we have, the weaknesses we have, the values we have, and the priorities we have. And then when we increase our self-awareness, it and also helps us in decision making, how we can make informed decisions, manage our emotions. If I know that I have an anger problem, it means that the moment I am being provoked, I should withdraw from that environment. I adopt an attitude that will help me to, cope with my anger situation, to avoid escalating into violence and harming or hurting somebody or hurting myself. So it also helps me on how to, navigate complexities of a relationship. Relationships are very complex. Whether it's relationship with your parents or with your siblings, relationship with your co-workers in the workplace, or relationship with your spouse, or anyone with whom you have any close relationship, they are very complex. But if I understand my personality, if I know what I can take and what I cannot take, if I know my specific wirings as a person, that will help me be able to take the right decisions, to manage my emotions effectively, and to be able to navigate those complex situations that may arise. Second reason why it is important for me to have, to be aware of my personality is, as a single, if you're a single, is for compatibility assessment. Now, if I don't know who I am, it is difficult for me to know what I'm looking for. Because whoever I choose to settle with as a spouse should be someone that is compatible, also complementing, and someone with whom we can flow. Now, the fact that you cannot flow with a certain individual doesn't make that individual bad, and it doesn't equally make you bad. It simply means that you are not compatible. But now, if I'm able to understand the different personal preferences I have, my communication styles, how I resolve conflict, this is going to help me to assess my compatibility with a potential partner. And if I equally know my personality type, I will know the kind of things I can endure, the kind of things I can accept, because we are different, and there are certain things that I can bear in a relationship which you may not be able to bear in a relationship. Yeah, because I may have a different personality type that will accept certain things, but you may not have that same personality type that will accept the kind of things that I accept. And like I said earlier, this doesn't make me good or better than you. It just means that we are different. And so if I know my personality type, it's going to help me in assessing my compatibility with whoever I am looking at to settle down with in a marriage relationship. And this reduces the likelihood of failures, because I'll be able to evaluate how well my personality type aligns with that of a potential partner, of a potential life partner. Do we see things similarly? Can we actually flow? When it comes to humor, what does he think? Now, there are some people who don't laugh. Now, they don't like any atmosphere of humor. Now, it is not because they are bad people. It simply means they have a personality that makes them so serious and sometimes over serious, And there are people who are playful. There are people who like a jovial atmosphere. They like to joke. Now, there are some people who are so serious when it comes to work, so that they don't even have any time for themselves. They don't have time for relaxation. They don't have time for fun. They don't have time for a holiday. They just want to keep working. They're workaholics. Does that make them bad people? No. Meanwhile, there are other people who would want to have a lot of fun. They love traveling. They love going on vacation. They love tourism. They just like to buy fancy cars and cruise around, enjoy life. That doesn't make them bad people. As long as they have the money to spend. If they earn their money genuinely and they want to spend the money to enjoy their life, they have the right to it. That doesn't make them bad people. But now, if I know that this is who I am, that will help me to assess whoever I'm thinking of settling down with, to find out if we are compatible. And the next thing is effective communication. If I have self-awareness, it will help this. It will give me self-discovery lays the foundation for effective communication skills. So being aware of my communication style, my needs, and my expectations help in expressing thoughts and emotions more clearly. Well, there are people who are introverts, who don't easily talk. That doesn't mean they have any problem with speech. They just like being quiet. Now, but there are people who just like to talk. And they talk about everything and anything. They can talk around the clock. That is who they are. Now, there are people, who like to do more of nonverbal communication than verbal communication. They would want to talk with their attitudes, not with their words, and with facial expressions, not with their words. That's just understanding who they are. Because if I don't understand who I am first, I'll not be able to evaluate if this person's personality kind of is one that I would want to get into, or I should think otherwise. Effective communication is crucial for resolving conflict and expressing love and support and ensuring a healthy and open dialogue in a relationship. And this is huge. Whether you like to communicate or not, this is one of the food that feed every relationship. When you are able to communicate correctly, effectively, and you know when, to keep quiet, the right communication styles to adopt under different circumstances, this is going to enhance, how well you relate with other people. This is going to enhance how well you relate with your spouse. This is going to enhance how well you relate even with your colleagues at the workplace. Because everywhere you go, you have people to deal with. And sometimes you get into the workplace, you have some people who are just all over the place. That is their personality. You have some other people who are withdrawn, who don't like the noise, who don't like the commotion. They want to be quiet. They want to be so business oriented. They want to be so, task bound. They don't want to create even a little time for no fun and all of that. That is another thing we need, just being aware. Number 4, when you are aware of who you are, your personality, that helps you to establish boundaries. And boundaries are very important in relationship. The fact that you are getting into a relationship with somebody doesn't mean that they have lost their identity. They don't lose their identity just because you came into their life. They will not lose their identity just because you got married to them or you are in relationship with them. They have to maintain their identity. And now I need to know that, okay, this is how far I have to go with this person. This is where I don't have to get to here, because the moment I cross this line, I'm looking for trouble. The moment I cross this line, I'm getting into a red zone. And this person is not going to be happy with me. This person is not going, to tolerate this. And so it helps me to establish boundaries. What are those things I'm able to bear? Individuals who are aware of their limits can communicate and enforce boundaries effectively. I know what I can take. I know what I cannot take. So when I'm talking with somebody, I will be able to say my expectations, my goals, what limit they should go with whatever they are doing. And this contributes to a healthy, or for me, building healthy relationships. Now, if you know your personality, it gives you an information about emotional intelligence development. So if I know I have an anger problem, for example, or I have a lust problem, or I know that, okay, I have a spending problem. There are people who are compulsive spenders. They just buy for buying sake. Even when they don't need it, they buy it. Even when they don't have the money, they borrow the money to buy it. And they just buy because they have them. They see the things they buy. And there are people who know, okay, when it gets to this point, I can't take it any longer. So what does that information tell me? It tells me on what I have to do to improve on myself. So emotional intelligence talks about being sensitive of those points, those weaknesses, those challenges in my character, those challenges, in my personal traits, and what am I going to do about them? There are people who have issues with procrastination. They would not start nothing. They keep looking and waiting for a good day, for a better day, for the perfect time, for the right time. When will you do this? I'm waiting for the right time. When are you going to start that business? I'm waiting for the right time. There are people who are too careful to begin anything because they want every factor to come in place. They want everything to work right before they can start. There are people who are too perfectionist in their attitude. So with that, you're going to be overly critical about people. And when people are around you and you correct them on everything they do, they don't become comfortable with you. So when I discover my personality type, when I'm aware of those specific things in my own character, what do I have to do? It gives me an opportunity to recognize what I have to do to improve on myself. And recognizing and managing one's emotions is essential for building strong foundation for a relationship. And emotional intelligence enables individuals to empathize with their partners, handle stress, and navigate the ups and downs of a relationship more effectively. There are people, when you are angry, they don't even know how to behave. They will provoke you, they will say the wrong things, do the wrong things, and they don't even realize it. It means they lack emotional intelligence. When you have emotional intelligence, you are able to read the feelings of the people around you. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? How can I make it better? How can I work, on my own attitude, to make this relationship work? And relationships are not working because people get into the relationship and they are selfish and they are not willing. They are not willing to accommodate the other person. They are not willing to tolerate the other person. They are not even willing to, improve on themselves. They lack emotional intelligence. And maybe their partner is complaining of a certain thing over and over. And instead of them coming to that realization and making a change, they look for reasons to argue, reasons to revolt, reasons, to not change. And they don't even care about the feelings of the other person. And it's quite frustrating to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't really feel your pain, who doesn't really care how you feel, what you're going through, how stressful your work can be, how stressful your day could be, how stressful, you could even be going through a health challenge. They don't even lend you a helping hand. You could be going through a job issue. They are not even there for you. They just become indifferent to all you go through. This is not good for any healthy relationship. And so having self-awareness brings us to this point where we are able to understand that this is how I have to behave. This is the kind of support I have to give my partner. There's the kind of support I have to give, even your children. There are some people who provoke their children to anger all the time, and they don't care. They don't care. And you are raising angry and violent children because you are not sensitive enough to know even when your children are angry. They are not happy with what you're doing to them. You need to be sensitive to be able to read those things. Number 5 reasons or importance. Number 5 importance or why it's important for us to be aware of our personality type is that it helps us in goal alignment with any potential partner. When I identify personal goals, aspirations, and values is crucial before committing to a long-term relationship. Knowing oneself helps in aligning life goals with those of a potential partner. What is your goal in life? That's the first thing. Why are you alive? Why are you living? What are you actually here to achieve? Do you have any assignment in this life? Do you have any goal as a person? I'm not talking about the business you want to do. I'm not talking about just your career you want to pursue. I'm not just talking about the money you want to make. Is that all that life is? Study, get the certificates, make the money, drive the cars. Is that all about life? What impact do you want to create in lives? How many people, or what is your idea of influencing the world around you? Now, what is your goal about relationship? Why do you even want to marry in the first place? And if you're already married, why are you married? Because people marry for the wrong reasons. People marry for the wrong reasons. And if I am aware of my personality type, it helps me also to find out my values, my goals, my purposes. And if I know those things, for sure what I'm looking for exactly in relationships, because why people can have a relationship today and they break tomorrow, they have another one and they break the next day, is because, one, they don't even have any goal for their relationship. They are just playing a game in the wild, in the open. And they don't have any specific goal. They are doing trial and error with people's emotions. They just look at the lady and they just feel like proposing. They go ahead and do it. And the next moment they are backing out because they don't even know what they are doing. They don't even know what they are looking for. They don't even know what they want for themselves. And the moment you don't know what you want for yourself, you can give nothing. Because you can only give what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. And shared goals and values provide a solid framework for a relationship, ensuring that both individuals are moving in the same direction and are supportive of each other's ambitions. When I know what I am living for, when I know what I'm going into a relationship for, when I know when I talk of wealth or riches, what I actually mean by that, when I know what success I'm really talking about, that will equally help me to check in the potential partner. All right. Do you have the same ideas? Now, they must not be exactly 100% with yours, of course. When we talk about compatibility, we're not talking about 100% conformity. We're talking about, am I able to accept that person for what he or she is? Am I willing to accept that? Am I also able to accept their individuality? Because in as much as they love me, in as much as I love them, we are two unique, distinct, independent individuals who are coming together in a union. And that doesn't make me lose my identity. That doesn't make him or her lose their identity. Am I comfortable to let them be who they are? Because one of the biggest issues in relationship is trying to change people. It's trying to make the people be what you want them to be. The first thing is, am I able to align, be with them, let them be who they want to be, and support them to be the best version of themselves? Am I able to support their idea about, their career, their personal dreams and aspirations? Am I willing to support them? Am I able to support them in their life goals? Or are you that kind of person when you get into a relationship, you want your spouse, your partner to lose their identity completely? You tell them what kind of job to do. You tell them what kind of thing to do. You control and, you kind of just want to be on them and tell them what they must do, how they must do it, and you don't allow them to be themselves. And this is one of the reasons where conflict comes in marriage, where you want to change people. No, being compatible with somebody doesn't necessarily mean that we think the same thing all the time, or the same thing about one thing. We might be compatible, but we might still have some differences. Then we might have to maintain our uniqueness, and this is very important because marriage doesn't destroy individual identities. It only brings about blending. It only talks about marrying them together to get a unique new identity trait which you're going to produce as a couple. That's why the Bible says the two shall become one, because it's a process of change. It's a process of adjustment. It's a process of conscious giving away certain things. It's a process of consciously accepting certain things. It's a process of willing to incorporate the other person's dreams and ambitions and being supportive. It's very important. If I am a footballer, the lady I marry must not be a footballer. No, that's not the idea of compatibility. Because there's a misunderstanding of this concept of compatibility. And some people think that when we talk compatibility, we mean you should do the same thing, have the same visions, have the same dreams. No, you may have your individual life goals. When you come together, you can blend. Then you have a family or couple goal or a family or couple vision. That's important. And that doesn't mean that if I am a teacher, for example, my wife must be a teacher. No. My wife could be any other thing. But I need to be supportive of whoever or whatever she is. She has to be supportive of whoever or whatever I am. And then we can forge a family or couple vision, which is something that brings us together, something that binds us together, something we do together. And for me, in my marriage, is charity. That's something that binds me and my wife together so strongly. We have the passion to help. And we can disagree on many other things, but when it gets to the family goal, the couple goal, vision, mission, we settle on it and we do what we are supposed to do. Every couple may have something different because we are unique. And the last, or the seventh reason, I have two more. The seventh importance, or reason why it's important to be aware of your personality is to avoid codependence. Now, getting into a relationship is getting into a union where you interact, where you blend, but that doesn't mean that you lose your identity. You still maintain your identity in that union. You bring in your unique contributions. You bring in those unique things that only you can bring on the table, and which complements what your other part brings to the table. And this makes for a better blend and makes your union more fruitful and more enjoyable. So if we all have to do the same thing, and we have all the same strengths and all the same weaknesses in a relationship, that relationship will be very boring. That's the truth. Because it is differences that spice the thing up. Yeah, some differences are really awesome, and they spice the relationship up. This person is good in that other person is good in the other thing. So they bring those strengths together. They bring these strengths together, and they are able to make a better whole. And when you now look at them, you can say, aha, this is a great couple. Not because they have strength in all the areas, each of them, but because they are able to blend together and bring their individual strengths together, make up for the differences, that they have with other people. They make up for the weaknesses of their spouse or their partner, and the union becomes an enjoyable one. So when you are self-aware, it avoids codependence, meaning or codependency. You avoid a situation where you have to come into a relationship and you depend solely or completely on the other person for everything and anything. That can be a very boring relationship, where one person is responsible for everything and for anything, and pulling the other person all alone by himself. It can be boring and tiring. Very, very. Imagine a relationship where it's one spouse who is thinking about everything, thinking about, homekeeping, thinking about investment, thinking about saving, thinking about the children's fee, thinking about home, home improvement, thinking about children's school work, thinking about, it's going to be overwhelming. That's why if I am aware of who I am, I'm going to look for somebody who completes me, somebody who is going to feed in, who is going to help with my weaknesses. And of course, I'm going to help with, the weaknesses of my other part. Because if I'm good at something, my spouse must not be necessarily good at it. And in every relationship, you have those things. When it comes to my marriage, for example, I'm not very good at saving. With the charity passion I have, I just like spending. And at any moment when there is a need, when there is a request, if I have any money, I just want to let go of the money. Now, but I have a wife who thinks more about, let's save some money, let's not spend everything. And with that, it helps me. It helps me because in a relationship, you need to know who is good at what. And it doesn't mean whether that is a male or a female. That's not important. You should give the role to whoever is good at to play the role. There are certain roles which are not necessarily masculine or a certain group, roles that are not necessarily man or woman role in a relationship. But who is good at this? Who is good at this? And you need to know who you are first before you now know who you are looking for. And the last reason why it's important to be aware of your personality type, those various traits that make you think the way you think, that make you feel the way you feel, that make you approach the life the way you approach it, that make you, react to situations the way you react to them, that is responsible for that anger situation that you have, that's responsible for, your approach to different complex situations in life. The last important reason is on my list is personal growth and adaptability. This is huge. When I know my personal traits, when I know my personal weaknesses and strength, that's simply what we're talking about, my personality. When I know what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, when I know what I can handle, what I cannot handle, that gives me an opportunity to discover those areas in my life that I need to work on. Because every one of us is in a learning and changing experience. And it doesn't matter how you have grown. It doesn't matter how old you are. You will still have an area in your life that you need to improve on. And when I'm fully aware of those weaknesses, of those trends, of those inadequacies in my personality, in my character, in those traits in me, that tells me these are the areas I'm supposed to improve on. These are the areas I'm supposed to work on. Oh, I overreact to situations. This means I have to do something on my emotions. I need to know how to hold back. I need to know how to do more of thinking than just going out into an outburst of talking and sometimes outbursts of anger. And it helps me to also learn to adapt. I need to also adapt because whoever you get into a relationship with, there are things in that person's life that may never change. Yes, you heard me right. I said there are things in the life of that person that may never change. Inasmuch as they may undergo personal development, self-improvement, develop a lot of emotional intelligence with time, they may want to manage their anger problems, struggle to work on certain things that are not very pleasant in their character. What you must understand is that they may not change everything. Doesn't matter how long they live, how much they struggle, they may still be certain things. So what do I need to do? I need to learn how to adapt. So a commitment to personal growth enhances the adaptability of individuals, ensuring that they can navigate the evolving dynamics of long-term partnership. Why do we have a lot of divorces in the world today? People don't want to adapt. People don't want to change. People don't want to improve. People want to change people to be what they want them to be. And with this mix all together, it becomes an issue. But if I'm aware of my personality type, that is going to help me navigate these different situations. So what I just said this as a summary. Important reasons why we need to be aware of our personality type is that one, it enhances self-awareness. It tells you those specific things, weaknesses, strengths, things you can handle, those you cannot handle. It also helps in compatibility assessment. If I'm going to getting into a relationship, since I know I have this kind of character trait, since I know I have this kind of personality issue, am I able to manage? Am I compatible with this person? Am I compatible with somebody with this other kind of character traits? And then it also helps in developing effective communication skills. If I know my personality, then I will then learn how to choose how well to communicate. And this is very important because communication is huge in relationships. 4, it helps me to establish boundaries. When I know my personality type, it tells me, it gives me information on what I can bear, what I cannot bear. So I can tell people, hey, you can come this close, but you cannot cross this line. When it comes to this point, don't just go here. And it has to do with values. It has to do with morality. It has to do with a lot of things. It also helps in emotional intelligence development to be able to understand the feelings of the other people, develop empathy, to feel their pain, understand their struggles, to be able to bear with them, show them love, show them compassion. It also helps me in goal alignment. My life's goal, is it the same thing with the other person that I'm thinking to settle down with? Or do they have a life goal altogether? which is different from mine. Excuse me. It avoids codependency. It allows me to maintain my individuality in a union, though we are blending, but I don't lose my identity. I don't lose my identity. I'm still me. I'm doing a lot of adjustment. I'm doing a lot of changes. I'm doing a lot of learning, but I am me. I keep my uniqueness. I don't get lost in the other person's life just because that person has become part of my life. And finally, we said personality growth and adaptability. It gives you that possibility to evaluate and know which area you are supposed to improve on, what you're supposed to work on, and what you're supposed to be improving on. So those are the reasons why we need to be aware of our personality type. And I'm going to stop this part here right away because in the next part, I'm going to be discussing the 16 personality types of Myers and Briggs, and I'm going to try to see how you can be able to access your own personality, know your primary personality type. Of course, it's just a guide to be able to show you how you can get your primary personality type and know how, what areas of development you need to have in order to, improve on yourself. See you in part 2 of Discover Your Personality Type. Thank you so much for watching. Your questions and comments are highly welcome. Thank you so much for those who have been on throughout this presentation. Looking forward to get your questions and to connecting with you. Remember that I'm beginning a relationship counseling work, and also very soon you're going to see the flyer for Hope Singles and Marriage Academy that will be out there. And you can go to our website, which I'm going to attach as a comment to this video, www.hopefamilylife.org. If you want to register for our singles training that is coming up in February, you can, just go to our website, then you register, or you get to me in the comment section. I can give you details on how you can get registered. It's a paid training program. We are going to be training singles. We're going to be training singles in this first phase. And at the end of the training, which will take 2 months, we are going to issue certifications to singles. You can't miss this. Please, I'm going to present the training program in my next video. God bless you, and see you in just a moment.